welcome back Seth Masket, professor of political science at DU.
All right, thanks for staying with us here. Let's start with Congresswoman Boebert's current and soon-to-be former district out in the on the West Slope. That race has been called for Jeff Hurd tonight. Did you see that one coming?
I was actually really curious how that was going to go, because this is, of course, the same district and the same party that nominated Lauren Boebert for the first time just 4 years ago. You know, so they've used to have a more mainstream representative there. She kind of shocked the party there and just took it by surprise. So we really weren't sure what was going to go on this time around. In this case, it looks like going with Jeff Hurd, they've gone with a somewhat more mainstream Republican, possibly more electable in the fall, who's not likely to have the same sort of you know, very close election margin that she faced 2 years ago.
So Adam Frisch ran unopposed. The Democrat there, he was the one who gave Ms. Boebert such a scare the last time around. What does that race look like? Is there a chance that could actually flip?
There is a chance. I mean, he has proven to actually be a very skilled campaigner.
Heck of a money raiser. A
really strong money raiser. There's a lot of Democratic donors who very much regretting that they didn't give him more money last time around, and they've been you know, donating quite aggressively to him this time around. So it's going to be a race. I think the odds are in the Republicans' favor for keeping this race, but there's at least a chance it'll be competitive.
And I know we want to get some state house races in a second, but one thing we have not talked about, we've talked a lot about how voters out on the east in the 4th feel about a newcomer, a carpetbagger, however you want to put it, coming in. We have not talked about how the people left behind in the 3rd feel about that their congresswoman just
up and left,
said, "See you later."
Yeah, and you know, that's hard to know. Hurd was already running there while she was still running for re-election. I mean, he was already challenging her from within the party and was doing the work to like make a lot of friends there and to raise some money there, and was already doing actually fairly impressive work. So I think, you know, a lot of the people who are already bothered with her were the ones who would be offended by her leaving. So I don't think it's going to change that many things in the district now.
Interesting, and also interesting that it went exactly according to the Boebert playbook this time around. So,
all right, let's talk about some of the state house races. Governor Polis did not endorse any incumbents in some of these state house races. Looking at District 4 tonight, Tim Hernandez, the incumbent, losing right now currently to Cecilia Espinosa. She's winning by 55%. Elizabeth Epps holds the seat in State House District 6. Sean Camacho, he's winning by 65% right now. Does the governor's endorsement have a lot of weight, or are these just really controversial seats and positions and things kind of moving right now?
Yeah, it's hard to say how much influence the governor's endorsement has because he rarely uses it, right? I mean, he rarely weighs in races like
That's why
this.
it was so interesting to see him not endorse any incumbent.
And the fact is, even before he endorsed, a lot of, you know, sort of Democratic elites within the state, Democratic leaders in the State House and in the State Senate were already backing Camacho. So there was a pretty strong movement in his direction and away from Epps. But the fact that, you know, Polis lent his name on there, that's a big signal. Most Democratic voters coming into a state house race, they don't know that much about the candidates. They're not paying very close attention to it. But that sort of major endorsement by a governor, by you know, a Speaker of the House or something like that, that's something they notice and they pay attention to.
Did you get pizza?
I have not.
Okay, why don't you get on that? And then Seth's actually going to join us for Denver 7 News at 10 o'clock over on Channel 7. Seth, thanks. Glad you're here tonight.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back.